Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first edition here in 2022 of our Mayoral Minute Series. My name is Peter Ruffini. I'm the 2022 chair of the Realtor Association of Pioneer Valley Government Affairs Committee, and I'm joined today by our esteemed president, seated to my right, Cheryl Malandrinos. To her right, our very capable CEO, Brendan Bailey. And we're joined today on screen by member and past RAPV president, Mark Abramson. And our guest of honor today is the Honorable Mayor of Greenfield, Roxann Wedegartner. Welcome, Mayor. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, and congratulations to you for pronouncing Wedegartner right the very first time. That is like a big gold star.
Well, with the last name that is also somewhat difficult for folks to pronounce, it's a shared experience, so I put extra effort into that. So again, thank you. A very warm welcome on a cold day for joining us to talk some real estate and talk about Greenfield. I guess I'll just start off by saying, one of the things one of the main reasons we like to do this series is to let leaders in the communities that we service know about things that we can do as an association to assist with issues that are facing our cities and communities, such as growth, anything real estate related. There's a lot of issues right now. Notably, I think everybody is acutely aware at this point of the housing shortage, not just in the country, but specifically here in Massachusetts. We see it in super competitive real estate markets for buyers. Prices have soared over the last couple of years, and it's really put a lot of pressure on communities on the affordability issue. And so one of the things that our goals in this series is to really let everyone know that we have a lot of different tools and resources available to us through what we call the Realtor Party, because we don't, when we talk Realtor Party, we don't get into Republican, Democrat. We base it on real estate issues. But we do have a whole host of programs from grants to consultants and a variety of other tools and resources, which Brendan will highlight some of those in a minute, that are available to us to help cities and towns, again, in the Realtor Association, the Pioneer Valley area, Greater Pioneer Valley area, I should say. And, that's the gist of the meeting. Brendan, I'm going to turn over to you. A little tongue-tied there for a second. Again, the tongue is apparently cold, frostbite setting in. But Brendan, if you can expand on some of the programs that we have available.
Sure. So what we have with our association is, there are 13 local associations across the Commonwealth. There's obviously a state association, and then of course the national association. And one of the really great things is when you're an organization like ours that's set up this way, the resources are endless. We have endless resources from our state association. One of the biggest benefits that we have from them is they have a fantastic policy and legal team that's there. So if there's ever any type of legislation that you or one of your offices might be working on that you'd like some insight on or help crafting or any of that kind of stuff, we can always be a benefit for a lot of those types of things, which is fantastic. With our national association, as Peter was mentioning, there are a whole host of grants that are available for everything from smart growth grants to housing opportunity, community involvement. Even if it's something as you have an idea, we've done a lot of this actually in East Hampton. We want to put in a pocket park next to our new pedestrian way in Greenfield. That would be really great. We can help with that. If you're thinking, gosh, we need to have an update to our housing plan for the city of Greenfield, we need to get some real analytics as to what is not just happening in our area, but also what are some similar towns doing across the country. We can do that as well. We can help in all of those efforts. So it's very, very nice. We have done some things with Greenfield in the past. We've done with other towns and cities throughout the Pioneer Valley. And it's just a really great opportunity for us to be a resource. That is the number one thing, is that, if you have anything that comes under your purview or your city council or planning department, whoever it may be, and you think, gosh, I'd like to learn a little bit more about this, give us a call, because we can find the information that you need to help get the context to make sure that the best decision is being made. We've dealt with some other towns that have been looking at some provisions that are great in concept and on paper, but without having some of the direct knowledge of the implications. And I'm going, well, what you're doing is wonderful. Let's say it's energy related. You're trying to be very neutral in what you're doing. That's fantastic, and we applaud that, and we want to help you do that. But the way you kind of have it set up now, you're going to put so much cost on the consumer. It's going to get passed down. So the people that you're trying to help aren't going to be able to buy the homes that you're creating. So it's one of those things where we can help each other figure out the best solution, and that's one of the great things that we can do. I mean, Cheryl, you've been around the association for a while. You've seen some of that stuff that we've gone through. I mean, what do you think is helpful that we can how we get involved in?
Providing those resources and those tools, like you've said, Brendan, is very important. East Hampton is definitely one that comes to mind, because we did that park, and it was a big deal to that community. Our goal is to build, and help you build the strong, vibrant, and diverse communities that all make us better here in the Commonwealth, and to be that resource for you going forward, and partner with you in the things that you need.
Right, and when Peter said, we don't sell homes, our members don't sell homes, they sell communities, and that's exactly what we do, and it's a fantastic phrase. And the other one that we always like to use is, the focus isn't on affordable housing, it's on housing affordability. We got to look at the systemic things that are behind it, and how can we make housing accessible for everybody. Peter, I'll turn it over to you, but Mayor, of course, we want to hear your thoughts about what Greenfield is doing and how the realtors could potentially be part of future plans. And then, of course, Mark, we would love to hear your boots on the ground of what you've experienced in Greenfield and ways that you feel that the realtors could be involved as well. So, Peter.
Thank you both for those comments. And the one thing I would add before we get to you, Mayor, is speaking specifically to the housing shortage. As I'm sure you're aware, the governor's housing choice bill passed last year. And one of the things that we have discovered in talking to various town and city leaders is that they don't always know, well, some of them weren't aware, but they are now, but even more didn't really know how to apply it. And so I would love to just let you know, we have a playbook basically for implementation on that housing bill available through our state association. So I just wanted to make sure because that's potentially a huge tool for cities and towns to use to help build more housing and alleviate the cost issues that we're seeing right now. So having said that, would love to turn it over to you to tell us what would you like to let us know about Greenfield, what's going on the housing side of things, and if possible, how can we help?
Well, what a great introduction from you folks. Thank you so much for that. I actually was not aware that you could be such a good resource for us, both from, say, as you mentioned, analytics, a housing plan, to potential grant sources for some of the things that we are planning or are currently involved in. We certainly are keenly aware of both housing shortage and housing affordability. Certainly housing is one of the most important issues we face here in this community, but it's also one of the more difficult and, as you said, costly ones to make any headway on. It's consistently on our radar screen, whether it's finding shelter space or permanent homes for our unhoused population, or creating more market rate housing or the opportunity for more market rate housing to satisfy the needs of those who really want to live here, but find it harder and harder to find both affordable rentals, but also homes for sale. And I'm sure Mark will speak to that. to the mini housing boom that we've had here over the last couple of years. What that's done for us in Greenfield has allowed many properties in Greenfield to change hands at top price and sometimes above top price. So that's all to the good and has helped increase value both to the homeowner who buys the house immediately, but also to the next door neighbor and the neighbors down the street. We were able this year to reduce our tax rate by 90 cents, which is pretty significant for Greenfield since it seems to be, truth or not, considered a place that has one of the highest tax rates, certainly in Western Massachusetts, and sometimes people say the state. That's not exactly true. But that said, we went down 90 cents to 22.32. So per thousand. And that means that people who are owning property here, especially if they've owned it for a long time, their taxes were down, but their valuation also went up and the value of their property went up. We, at the same time, finished our 5-year revow while we were having this mini boom. So I have certainly fielded plenty of complaints, and certainly our city councilors have, about, well, great, my tax rate went down, but my tax bill didn't change, or my tax bill's higher. So people don't understand that, but the fact of the matter is it's still created a great deal more value in your property. And that's what we need. That's what we need here in Greenfield, is to raise our our EQV, our equalized valuation, which went up 8.8 something percent, which is a good thing. So, but we're running out of property. We're running out of, as soon as housing comes on the market, it's picked up right away. We don't have a lot of extra property to build housing on. So what we want to do is also take advantage of some of the upper story underutilized properties that we have downtown. What's always important for people to understand here in Greenfield about the city's involvement is we don't own the properties that many of the initiatives we want to do impact. We certainly don't literally build housing as the city, but we do have a seat at the table for a lot of the strategy sessions that surround this complicated issue. So we have some downtown properties that actually are on the market that potentially could be suitable for housing to the right developer. And Mark certainly could speak to that and help augment some of what I've just said. So I would be looking, I think, to you folks to give us some guidance on a couple of different things. The underutilized properties grants. I mean, we're aware of the ones that are coming out of the state, certainly, but if you have some additional information on how best to facilitate both developers and individuals, building owners who might want to put some money into their property for that reason. I think I'd also be interested in, we talk from time to time about a housing plan. I haven't committed to it yet, but I might want to have that conversation or know about those resources.
So absolutely, Madam Mayor, that's what this is all about, is trying to start some communication and some conversations around this. And to your last point, I would say, repurposing, downtown districts, shall we say, where there's a lot of vacancies. You go around the Commonwealth and it's a common sight to see abandoned and or underutilized buildings that are, either totally or partially vacant. And so that's a challenge to try to repurpose those buildings. And yes, although the cities and towns themselves don't do the development, you can certainly incentivize, and part of the way to do that is through possible zoning changes. And that is one of the ways that we can help, is crafting language for those zoning changes to kind of promote the growth that you'd like to see in that area. So there is certainly a way to positively impact growth and development in the way that you want to see it. So we'd definitely love to partner in that way and start that discussion. And to your point, Mark, I don't know if you had anything to add. I know we've kind of jumped around a couple different topics here.
Sure. I've been waiting for that opportunity, but I also wanted to thank the Realtor Association and the mayor for coming together in this kind of a forum, because as it's already happening today, you're sharing information and resources, and both will benefit. Over the years, my involvement in the Realtor Association has also allowed me to become more involved in the community. And I think there are a lot of realtors that have done that, serving on different boards, serving on advisory committees, and different entities within specifically Greenfield, that kind of make it nice and make that sense of community out there. And to get back to what the mayor has referred to, the good news is the increase in valuation for the town and the increase in value for the sellers. The flip side of that has become that first-time home buyers are getting phased out because of the competition, because cash offers are coming in, because people are paying over market value. Kind of phases them out of consideration, and there would be some really beneficial things to happen if the Realtor Association and the town could work on some things to free that up, because offers coming in that are subject to first-time home buyer financing are just not being considered today. The second thing.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say, I think that part and parcel of the governor's housing choice bill is some of that, making available some of that money for first-time home buyers, because that, as I recall in a conversation that the mayors had, several months ago, long time ago, feels like now, but with the governor, he spoke very much to the fact that they want to create more housing affordability in Massachusetts, and we want young families, and we certainly do here in Greenfield. We have many young families. We also have an aging population too, and so it feels like we ought to be able to make some introductions to our young families through the housing choice bill, perhaps, or other opportunities. Mark's exactly right. I hear that all the time from younger families.
You were referring to, Madam Mayor, is the downtown development of upper stories for residential. And, you know, your office has been very positive in funneling a lot of developers that are interested in doing that to myself, who has Wilson's department store available for rental. But as you also mentioned, the aging population, there's a lot of people that would sell their physical single-family detached home and look towards moving into the downtown if there was market rate or really nice housing. The Wilson's building provides 100,000 square feet of multi-level right in the heart of downtown. And that kind of development would be so beneficial for the town to bring people back to the downtown, to support the retail, the offices, the entertainment venues that exist in Greenfield. So I think that would really be a good thing to happen, and looking forward to continue to work with your office.
Thank you. That is the plan, to move, well, really, even there's, when I say young families, some it's also just the younger home buyer. They may not have a family yet, the downtown property is also very attractive to them as well. And definitely our senior population, many of them, you know, they're not, they're more active, you know, than they used to be as well. So downtown provides them the services, many of the services they need and want, plus the entertainment and the restaurants and so forth. And so it's a good mix. And certainly we are anxious to see the Wilson's building eventually become, you know, maybe the anchor to that whole opportunity.
Yep.
And Madam Mayor, that's why we have that catchphrase, smart growth, because it's important for communities to really be forward thinking and thinking about the future. And, you know, what you and Mark just said, you know, kind of encapsulates one of the issues right now is that it's not one size fits all with housing. And I think for too long, people have looked at that as the proposed solution, right? And it's not. We need a variety of housing options for folks. And quite frankly, we also need some rental options for folks. It's not just for ownership, although that's a great thing. But it's really a variety of housing, whether it's, you know, there's plenty of smaller housing options nowadays, from micro buildings to, you know, apartments, condos, different things of that nature. But it really is about smart growth and having a vision. One of the other things I'll share with you just quickly is just to let you know, because people don't always know everything that we do in the Realtor organization. And this is something we're pursuing on the state level, and it speaks directly to the first-time home buyer. And we have legislation pending that would allow for first-time home buyer savings accounts, which would have tax-deferred and or tax-exempt status, specifically to allow people to save up for that down payment, because that's a big obstacle nowadays with the increase in home prices. So there are plenty of things that we try to do proactively to help alleviate the problems that face and the challenges that face our markets around the Commonwealth. So to change gears real quick, I did notice this morning, I was doing a little bit of research for this, that the city of Greenfield was recently recognized with a leading example award for clean energy efforts. And so congratulations on that. And just wanted to see how you envision that tying in with future growth.
Well, I will tell you, we've won that award more than once. And I owe it all to, or we owe it all in large part, first to the vision of the prior mayor, Bill Martin, who insisted on making Greenfield, with the assistance of our energy director, Carol Collins, made the effort and we became the first green community in Massachusetts, getting us an official designation from the state as a green community. Then we had to live up to it. So that is Carol's job. She is by all means, her department, which is a department of one, quite a dynamo, and very dogged in her pursuit of energy savings, both for the city and creating opportunities for homeowners as well. But we feel like she's ground zero for climate change and how we fight it here. So how we fight climate change. And we have multiple solar arrays on undevelopable land that allow us to save, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and have been able to do that now for about 10 years. So, and we have our own municipal lighting and power company that I'm not sure we call it a company, but it's an entity that allows members to save on their electricity bill as well. And I'm trying to think of some other examples of that off the top of my head. But we we are always proud when we get that award. And I think this year, again, it was recognized, we were recognized for the many creative ways that the city of Greenfield continues to emphasize energy savings and affordability, both for the city, which means money we didn't have to spend, and for our individual homeowners.
Well, we certainly applaud you for your efforts in that area, and you have a very appropriately named city for that effort as well.
It's true. That probably was Bill's initial motivation. Why can't we be the first green community?
Makes sense, makes sense. So, Madam Mayor, we do value your time. I know we've been talking for a little bit. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us before we wrap up?
Not really. I mean, we, as I said, focus a lot of our attention on housing, and most of that, Mark mentioned, my office comes through our Economic and Community Development Director, MJ Adams. It's a passion of hers. So she is the one that has been pushing for housing across all sectors. From low income to middle income, seniors, young families, first-time home buyers, and of course our unhoused population. You did mention zoning, and I will say that the Greenfield zoning ordinance is a very progressive zoning ordinance, particularly, and I will take some credit for that. I was chair of the planning board for 14 of the 16 years I was on the planning board here in Greenfield, and we began back then with the, so it was from 2001 to 2016, or maybe it was 2000 to 2016. We had an eye towards how to create zoning that benefited downtown Greenfield and benefited the homeowner's ability to get those people who live in large houses, how they can alter their houses so that they may be able, as they age, to both stay in their home, but also get some money out of it. So we were among, you know, certainly not the first community in Western Massachusetts with an ADU bylaw, an accessory dwelling unit bylaw, but we certainly were right in there from the beginning, and it's taken a while to take hold, but I'm seeing more and more applications for ADUs here in Greenfield as well.
Yeah, that's certainly been one of the most popular topics as we've gone around the issue of ADUs, and I'm happy to say pretty much every municipality that we've spoken to has embraced the concept and is moving in a, to use your term, more progressive manner with regard to ADUs. So.
Yeah, it's not everybody's cup of tea, and we do sometimes get pushback on it, or did in the early days. But I think most people have seen that when their neighbors have an ADU, it really doesn't impact them. In fact, it can maybe even help raise their value.
Well, we see it as practitioners. It's certainly a type of property that's in demand, and as you stated, there's a significant segment of the population in every municipality that would like the opportunity to age in place, as we say, and that is a viable option for them. So again, we applaud you for your efforts in that area as well. So again, Mayor, thank you very much for joining us on behalf of all our members and everyone on the call with us today. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to furthering the discussion.
Well, I will definitely be knocking on your door soon. I appreciate your having me on today, and I've learned quite a bit. So we'll be in touch.
Our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
All right, take care, Roxann.